So the attempt to totally prohibit the manufacture of a good that consumers really want does not eliminate the market, it just drives it underground. Okay? And the same phenomena. Right? Drugs are smuggled into the United States from various surrounding areas. Corrupt police are bribed and corrupted, as is the legal system. There's huge violence. I mean, this thing is violence. I'm sure you read about it too in Mexico. It's practically a war between the government and these rival gangs. They find these like huge mass graves, hundreds of people. God knows what happened to these poor people. And in violent ways of, getting at the other guy that is even too gruesome to think about. It's not enough to kill the person, but to like torture and mutilate him in the process. But that's the result of such prohibitions and regulations that try to ban the full use and production of a good. And this is inevitable too. You can't escape from this. The fact is that given human nature, right, and that's an invariant, if some people want something, they're going to get it. The only way to really stop drinking or drug taking without all of these negative side effects is that if you finally can get a situation in which people don't want it anymore. The demand curves moves so far to the right, to the left, that it's not profitable to produce and sell this product. But that's a demand side problem and not a supply side problem, because the supply side will always rise to the surface underground, so to speak, if you just try to make it illegal. That requires people's changing of their values and beliefs. It can sometimes come through family, friends, religion, looking to a higher source of strength for oneself. But the fact is that it doesn't change the fact that as long as there is a demand and it hasn't fallen below what it's profitable for someone to produce it, there's going to be a market for it, whether it's legal or illegal. And all you do is generate all these unintended side effects with all of the negative consequences for the society as a whole. And sometimes there are regulations in these interventions of quality and methods of production. But the question is here is that who knows better what the qualities or methods of production should be? In the market, the quality of the product reflects what the sellers believe the consumers want. Let's suppose that we're talking about like some type of like an electric saw that one could have in one's little workshop area in one's garage, for example, or in some workroom in one's house. Now let's suppose that you learned how to work around tools and electric tools of various sorts when you were a little kid from your parent. So you have an electric saw, you know how to handle it, you're not going to cut yourself, you know how to watch what you're doing. Now let's suppose that there's someone next door who has small children. Okay? And the kids, like, little boys particularly, right? Oh, I want to do what Daddy does. So, well, maybe they're going to try to go into the little work area and use the tools when Daddy's there to show Daddy that they can do it too. Of course, the child can injure himself. Well, what type of electric saws, for example, should the market offer? Well, I would suggest a spectrum of them. What quality and safety should be on the electric saw that the mature single person or whose children are long out of the home wants to buy? Well, maybe he doesn't want to pay the extra cost for all the extra little safety devices, automatic shutoffs, because he doesn't think he needs to spend the money for the extra safety devices, because he feels confident. Since his dad taught him 40 years earlier, he's been knowing how to use a saw. But the man next door who has the little kids, he might very well want to pay the extra money for the safety devices, the automatic shut-off, so his kids, if he's not watching or looking over them, could hurt themselves or somebody else. The market will provide the degree of safety in a product that the consumers want, and at the same time a diversity or a spectrum of them, reflecting people's trade-offs, choices, and preferences. The problem is that if government comes in, oh, a little kid can be hurt. Well, of course, none of us philosophically want a little kid to be hurt. I mean, I don't want a little kid to be hurt. Well, maybe there's that one little kid down the... Oh, no, really. None of us wants a little kid to be hurt. Of course not. But, you know, it's not always the wisest thing to impose one size fits all. Oh, every electric saw has to meet these standards. Why? It means that some people are paying more money for things that they don't want. And since it's made the same for everyone, and therefore some average price is going to be set for all of what would have been a variety of prices for different safety devices, some people who want safety devices will pay less than they would have had. So one person ends up having to subsidize someone else's electric saw, to use this example. Why? The person who wants the safety devices pays for it. The person who doesn't, they don't. The market will end, and then the very liability factors of the company will assure that they have a self-interested motive to assure that the safety that the machine is supposed to have is reliable and trustworthy. Otherwise, they hold liability for it. Every company has insurance. And you know what? Insurance companies love to get their premiums. What do they like to not do? Pay out claims. All right? Just like you love to get income, oh, I have to pay out. Terrible. Okay. Now, when will they be less likely to have payouts? When the people they've insured will have less suits against them. Therefore, it is in the self-interest of the insurance company to set up standards of quality and assurity in the product that they're insuring. There's also the fact that regulations can sometimes serve as barriers to entry. By imposing a certain standard of regulation that everyone has to meet, it will very well make it more difficult for new entrants into an enterprise or a market who have less capital to start up with, to be able to start up and compete against the existing firms. Therefore, it is often the case that larger existing firms are pro-regulation on safety and standards, not because they care, but because that's a way of setting up sort of like a financial hurdle that it may be difficult for new entrants who otherwise would compete against them from entering the market. So regulations can often have those anti-competitive effects on the behavior of individuals in the market. The same thing applies to methods of production. What are the appropriate methods of production? It depends upon the nature of the product and what the consumers are looking for. The important thing here is that the diversity of the methods, the diversity of the options for quality, and that the market sorts this out. If products do not have the safety or quality features that consumers are looking for, then that will create a profit opportunity for someone in an open market to see a niche for themselves to compete against that person by making a safer product, a better quality product that there's this latent demand for. And then as that happens, the other seller has to be afraid that as competition starts taking away some of his market share, that he has to start matching or even doing better than them, or their market position may be permanently challenged and could lead to them actually just, at the end of the day, going out of business. That's the market's checks and balances on these things. That does not require the heavy hand of government of setting up one standard fits all, one size fits all, one basis fits all, because that doesn't reflect what is the diversity of people in the society and the market and the preferences and choices that they would like to have satisfied. The same way you go into the supermarket, and there's not just breakfast cereal, there's the Cheerios, there's the Wheaties, there's the this, there's the that, there's low fiber, high fiber, low calorie, higher calorie, less sugar, more. It's a whole spectrum representing what people prefer. Why not let people choose? in a variety of other products